Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's headlines, the ongoing violence turns deadly once more as IDF soldiers who opened fire at a knife-wielding Palestinian man accidentally kill an IDF reserve officer. The Islamic Republic of Iran announced that it will pay thousands of dollars to families of Palestinians who have been killed as a result of committing acts of violence against Israelis. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry refers to Israel's construction policy in the West Bank as unhelpful and calls on both Israel and the Palestinians to take steps that would imply a willingness to advance peace. The ongoing violence turned deadly as IDF soldiers whom opened fire at a knife-wielding Palestinian man in the West Bank settlement block of Gush Etzion accidentally killed an IDF reserve officer who, according to an initial investigation, was the attacker's target. The Palestinian assailant was reportedly injured in the attack and taken to a Jerusalem medical facility for further treatment. The Israeli victim was the 30th casualty of the Palestinian stabbings, shootings, and car ramming directed at Israelis since it started back in October of last year. During that time, some 168 were killed, with 111 of them Israel said committed acts of terror against Israelis, while the remainder were killed in violent clashes with Israeli security forces. Now to another matter regarding Israel's security. The Islamic Republic of Iran announced that it will pay thousands of dollars to families of Palestinians who have been killed as a result of committing acts of terror against Israelis in a declared effort to support those who are taking an active role in the battle for Jerusalem. The Iranian ambassador to Lebanon announced during a press briefing in Beirut that the families of Palestinians killed as a result of what he referred to as the Intifada over Jerusalem would receive $7,000, while houses of families of Palestinian assailants, which would be demolished as part of Israel's efforts to deter the Palestinian population of committing acts of terror, Iran would provide their families with some $30,000. In response to the Iranian announcement, Israel's foreign ministry released a statement condemning the news, noting that it was further proof of Iran's deep involvement in promoting terror against Israel, adding that after the agreement with the P5+1, United States, Russia, China, France, Britain plus Germany, Iran is permitting itself to continue being a central player in international terror. Meanwhile, IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot said Israel was facing challenges on several fronts, including the wave of violence in the West Bank, threats from the Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and threats on the northern border, primarily from the Islamist Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria and other Islamist organizations operating in Israel's northern neighbor, Syria. The Chief of Staff stressed that the Jewish state has fought against murderous terror a decade ago and defeated it, and stressed it would be the case now as well. The Israeli military chief asserted that the IDF was a professional, determined, and profoundly committed army. Now to the United States, where U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry appeared in Washington, D.C. in front of a Senate committee, during which he said he viewed Israel's construction policy in the West Bank as unhelpful and called on both Israel and the Palestinians to take steps that would imply the willingness to advance in talks for peace.
I don't think that the situation is helped by additional settlement construction and building. And I think that we need to see measures taken on both sides to indicate a readiness and willingness to try to proceed forward and reduce the violence.
Meanwhile, at that same committee, the American top diplomat said he held a phone conversation with his Russian counterpart, during which he said the two discussed the advancement of the cessation of hostilities.
I talked this morning, the reason I'm late, I was talking with Foreign Minister Lavrov, and we have a team that will be meeting in the next day or so. The task force for the ceasefire, SAS cessation of hostilities. And I'm not here to vouch that it's absolutely going to work or it's, but I'm telling you this is the one way that we can end this war. The alternative is that the war gets worse, that Syria might be totally destroyed, not able to be put back together again. Everybody has said you've got to have a diplomatic solution at some point in time. The question will be, is it ripe? Will Russia work in good faith? Will Iran work in good faith to try to bring about the political transition that the Geneva Communique calls for?
Meanwhile, in Moscow, Russia's defense ministry spokesman announced that the Russian aerial campaign was significantly decreasing the number of sorties in areas that were bound to the cessation of hostilities as part of the arrangement with the United States on the matter, while accusing Turkey of intensifying their shelling of the Kurdish militia in northern Syria.
В течение последних 2 суток интенсивность ударов российских самолетов заметно снизилась. Прежде всего, это коснулось тех районов Сирийской Арабской Республики, где уже поступили и продолжают поступать обращения от местных властей и представителей вооруженных группировок о желании прекратить огонь и начать переговоры о примирении. Никаких ударов российской авиации там не наносятся. Достижение российско-американских договоренностей устраивает далеко не всех. Особенно на севере Сирии, где с территории Турции продолжаются обстрелы крупнокалиберной артиллерии сирийских приграничных населенных пунктов.
Now to the White House, where U.S. President Barack Obama met with Jordan's King Abdullah, during which the two discussed the cessation of hostilities in Syria, among others. President Obama voiced caution about the diplomatic plan to cease hostilities in Syria.
With respect to Syria, I briefed him on the conversations that I've had with President Putin and the cessation of hostilities agreement that has been put in place. We are very cautious about raising expectations on this. The situation on the ground is difficult, but we have seen modest progress over the course of the last week or so with respect to humanitarian access to populations that are threatened. If over the next several weeks we can see some lessening of the violence that's been racking that country, then that provides us a basis to build a longer-term ceasefire both in the north and the south, and allows us to move forward on the political transition that ultimately is going to be necessary to bring an end to the civil war in Syria. It also would allow us then to focus all of our efforts, all the parties in the entire world community, including Russia, in going after ISIL, something that right now they are not doing and are not focused on.
Jordan's King Abdullah said during his meeting with the U.S. president that he was leaving Washington very optimistic because of the leadership of the United States in prosecuting the war against the Islamic State, and expressed hope that diplomatic negotiations with Russia would move the process forward.
So I'm actually leaving Washington very optimistic about the level of support from the United States, the leadership that the President has shown on the issue of Syria, and hopefully that the discussions between yourselves and the Russians will move the process in the right direction. But also looking at the larger picture when we're looking at the challenge of ISIS and their franchises around the world. I think that the future looks much better with the leadership of the United States.
Although U.S. officials have raised the question of a political transition in Damascus, President Bashar al-Assad, backed by Russia, shows no signs of stepping aside. Thank you for watching us. Keep praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Yair Pinto. Have a good evening, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
In order to donate to TV7 Israel News, please follow these simple steps. First, press the Donate logo, located at the bottom left side of TV7 Israel News Facebook page, or on the Donate tab at the head of the page. Then insert the amount you'd like to donate, and fill in your credit card information. Just like this. And press Review Donation and continue. After reviewing your donation details, please press Donate to finalize your donation. That's it! Your donation is now complete, and an email with your donation details has been sent to your email address. You can also print your donation receipt by pressing the link here. Thank you for supporting TV7 Israel News.